Chapter 185. Night Talks in the Imperial Palace. Liu family in capital city. Supportive link journey. As the night deepened, the majestic imperial city seemed to regain its former tranquility. The breach in the city wall was gradually filled with huge stones by the imperial army. The civil and military officials left the imperial city, preparing for the early court of the next day. Thousands of palace lanterns shone brightly in the evening breeze. Under the shade of the massive ginkgo tree, 3 incense sticks had burned out, and the window on the side of the sleeping hall was open. Lu Yunzi, having changed out of her dragon robe and dressed in crimson nightgown, lay silently on her pillow, her gaze unfocused on the mottled shadow of the tree branches, her thoughts unwittingly reflecting on the tragic event of the 7 princes. Upheaval is still unfolding today. Lin Shiwan defecting to the demonic sect is an ominous sign. If it's about consolidating the political situation, the strength of Great Zhao's court must be enhanced. The imperial gatekeepers are too weak. A single demon from the demonic sect has already succeeded in causing chaos among them. Stronger cultivators must be recruited to gather potent forces. Though she is now a ruler of a country, her every move is still under the surveillance of the Immortal Gate. What she wants to do is restrained. Although playing the role of an emperor, she doesn't have the power of one. Living in the Phoenix Luwan Hall, she feels like a bird in a cage. She initially believed that, with the backing of the Immortal Gate, she would become a renowned and universally acclaimed emperor for all times. Later, she discovered that it was nothing more than vain hopes and dreams. Claims of regicide, usurpation, breaches of women's morality, purges of one's own kin. These rumors have always accompanied her, and she has had no choice but to bear these burdens. On reflection, she realized that her initial days in the palace as a beauty were genuinely the most blissful times. As time passed, those good companions from before either long gone or have grown old. She had never thought about free herself from the shackles of Wuliantia. It wasn't possible. Though she has a bit of cultivation ability, she still stands proudly on the court due to pure luck. As the mature empress didn't want to dwell on such thoughts, facing the desolate great hall left her with no choice but to feel a faint sadness. As she was lost in thoughts, she faintly heard the resonating hum of a sword within the palace. Not too far from the guest hall where significant guests were accommodated, it seemed as if someone was practicing with the sword in the courtyard, the swish of it cutting air resounding. Half asleep, Lu Yunzi slightly propped herself up, releasing her spiritual sense to investigate the commotion. Although she only had a small amount of cultivation, it was sufficient for self-defense. Since she couldn't sleep, she might as well go and see who was practicing with a sword. Lu Yunzi draped a large pythonskin shawl over herself and slowly headed towards the garden behind the guest hall. All the imperial guards and palace maids along the way bowed in respect to her. At this time, in the back garden, Han Yi, who was temporarily residing in the guest hall, was waving his purple and red spiritual sword. Every move of his was filled with aggression, and from time to time, the phantom images of a fire dragon and a purple kiln could be glimpsed. This style of swordsmanship was taught to him by a woman dressed in white, and it was called serious sword technique. After practicing it numerous times, Han Yi had once asked why such a casual name, but the woman had dismissed it as not having thought of a better one. Having finished the sword technique, Han Yi sheathed his sword and stood up tall when he suddenly sighed. This spiritual treasure, Dragon Sky, which I found in the National Treasury, whilst it unleashes powerful aggression when wielded, houses 144 array inscriptions possessing great power. However, the sword is heavy, approximately 3 feet 7 inches, and does not suit me well. Since his candle flame broke after confronting sword, the Empress bestowed another sword on him. She allowed him to select a precious spiritual treasure from the National Treasury, which was a very precious magical treasure. She gave it to him without blinking an eye. Dragon Sky was crafted from the crimson tooth of a mature true dragon from Dragon Valley and the scales of an exotic purple kiln. Its strength is incredibly high, and essentially no spiritual treasure could stand against it. After testing it again tonight, it still was not suitable. It lacks the simplicity of the candle flame and the feel of the immortal sword, Kangbi, and cold waterfall. It is too heavy and domineering. This heaviness does not mean Han Yi could not lift it. Indeed, he can lift it as if it were light as a feather. However, its heaviness does not match his style. You're still practicing with your sword so late. Your sword skills did not become powerful without reason. A dignified woman appeared in Han Ye's spiritual sense. He turned around, lightly bowed and greeted. Greetings, Your Majesty. Because I made a promise to someone to practice with my sword diligently, I naturally dare not slack off. Lu Yunzi, draped in a python-patterned robe, scanned the swept courtyard, free of any dead leaves, still lingering with sword check. And Soul Limited, it appears that this person must be very important to you. Her delicate eyebrows tightened slightly as she turned to the man and continued to ask, Han Yi, you say you come from Dragon Sparrow sect, but in these past 10 years, I heard not a single word about a person of your name in Qingyun State. Understanding her question, Han Yi explained straight away, I'm not fond of crowds. Most of the time I am focused on cultivating rigorously within the sect. Actually, I am only a direct disciple. Lu Yunzi's phoenix eyes twinkled as she noted, so Lin Shiwang joined your sect, Dragon Sparrow, so you are familiar with each other. Over the years, you did not persuade him properly, and yet, you let him join the demonic path. To Han Yi, it was one regret, he sighed. Brother Lin's stance was always different than mine. I did not persuade him, nor did I feel the need to. This is the path he chose. Nobody can change a person, but you can influence a person. Perhaps I ultimately failed to sway his vengeful heart. How did he describe? Han Ye looked into Lu Yunzi's plain phoenix eyes, and softly replied, Regicide, treason, heart of a snake and scorpion, ruthless and heartless.